Listeners, my name is Shannon Cooney from Merrick Property Group Real Estate Agency and a very proud sponsor of the Paracave podcast. If you own a property in the Penrith LGA or Lower Blue Mountains and would like to know what it's worth in today's market, give me a call on 0421 588 445.
Broadcasting live from the Paracave. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paracave podcast. And this week it's a little bit different because I recorded this episode during a live Facebook chat on the Paras Eels Army Facebook group. This was just a little bit of a recap of the grand final and season 2022, and I thought I'd get the fans involved and hear their comments as well and share their comments. So yeah, something a little bit different, something that I haven't done before. It's episode 114 and it's going to be released today, obviously, on a Sunday, which is something I haven't done before as well. So something a little bit different this week, and next week we'll get back into the normal routine of a Monday morning release episode of a player interview. Got a couple of crackers coming up. Got Lee Odenryan and also David Penner. But this week I thought I'd do something a little bit different, bit of a season review, talk about the grand final, and talk about some news that came out on the day and also the previous day that I recorded this video. If you want to check out the full length video, it's on Paras Eels Army Facebook page. Now, as per usual, all of the Paracave podcast episodes are brought to you by Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. And also a shout out to co-sponsors Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, who you heard at the top of the episode, and the Stubby Club as well. And listeners, for the best present for that sports fanatic in your life, the Stubby Club has a huge range of sports merch and gifts to choose from. Just head to thestubbyclub.com.au and remember to use your Paracave discount code for a 10% discount. There's some great bargains on at the moment with the beer pong table, and also there's some great stuff on there. So check that one out. Check that website out. Not only Parramatta merchandise, every club's merchandise. And for the Penrith fans that are listening, there is also the Premier's range that is out now as well. And also Bo Cook from Loan Market as well. Thank you for your sponsorship of the podcast. Bo is your local Penrith mortgage expert. He looks after everything from first home loans, refinancing, and home loans as well. Bo Cook and his team, they are the team and the man with the help and the answers. And I know, especially because my wife Amanda and I, we've got a home loan. Bo helped us with our home loan, so we have that personal experience of what Bo and his team can do, and especially during these difficult financial times. He will get the best deal for you. So you can contact Bo today on 0401 213 236 and get in contact today for a free chat and see what Bo and his team can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. Thank you to all the sponsors. With your support, it helps the podcast grow and reach more people, which is much, much appreciated. But enough of me talking. Let's get into the chat that we had on Paras Eels Army Facebook page about the grand final, season 2022, and a few other things. I hope you really enjoyed this format, and if you did, please give me the feedback and we'll see what we can do. Maybe it might be something that we do next season. During the season, we have a few more live chats, and we record them as podcasts. So let me know what your feelings are about that, and we might do that next year moving forward. So anyway, as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get into it. Hello, Paracave podcast listeners and viewers on Para's Eels Army Facebook page. Something a little bit different tonight with the podcast. It's not a player's interview. It's another fan's reaction to the grand final and also season 2022. And some news about 2023. So I thought I'd do a little bit something different and get the fans' reaction. So if you know anyone who's a Para fan, get them onto Para's Eels Army on the Facebook page. Get them to join the live video and get involved and make some comments, have some fun. Because at the end of the day, we're all fans. Let's get into it. All right, we're going to start off with the grand final, the 2022 grand final between the Panthers and the Eels. How are we all doing so far this week after the loss, Eels fans? Well, for myself, it was more disappointment than upset, to be honest, because, just really disappointed that we lost the game. Massive achievement to make the grand final, obviously, both the men's and the women's teams for the Parramatta Eels, which is great. So a massive achievement there. Just didn't get the job done, unfortunately, in both the grand finals, the men's and the women's competition. So, but as I said, a massive congratulations to both teams on making the grand final. All right, let's start off with talking about the game, the grand final, the Panthers versus the Eels. What were your thoughts about the game? For myself, I thought the intensity was there for the first, say, 10 minutes. There were some big hits from both sides, and both Parramatta and Penrith were basically going set for set. So it looked like both teams were on, especially in that 10 minutes, that first 10 minutes, the what can you call it, the softening up period. So I thought a little bit after, it was good to see, Dylan try the kick for Mitch, and also Mitch going down the short side as well. That was good to see. They were trying different things to get over the top of the Panthers. In those early exchanges, which was great to see. The big forwards, Junior and RCG, were going up against James Fisher-Harris and obviously Moses Leota. Moses Leota had a massive start to the game for the Panthers, pulling off some big hits, some good runs. Cheryl Burke, I think Para looked tired. Look, I have to agree with you on that one. Cheryl, I thought after the as I said, the first 10 minutes, I think they did look really tired. I was a little bit unsure as to how long Nathan Brown would spend on the bench. I thought maybe he might have spent less time than he did. I thought he would have been brought on a little bit earlier than he actually did come on. But, just to bring that new, fresh player in. So I thought Brownie would be on a lot earlier. Chris Buttigieg, Penrith's go forward, really dominated for the first half after the opening 10 minutes. Yeah, they definitely did. As I said before, Moses Leota certainly led the way there for the Panthers forwards. as I said, pulling off some big hits and some great runs as well. It also looked like after that first 10 minutes, it looked like the Panthers were getting the ascendancy with the field position as well. We seemed to struggle to get out of our end, and the Panthers made it look easy to get down our end. Former Parramatta player Chris Lawler lost control of the ruck, speed equals losing the game. Para stopped our second phase. Panthers stopped our second phase play offloads. To the last 15 minutes. And yeah, that's right, Chris. We certainly were alive in the first 10 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes we certainly were alive there. But they definitely did control our second phase play very well, and also controlled the ruck really well as well. That's the Panthers. One thing that disappointed me, and I didn't think that was going to happen in a grand final, and I think maybe most of you would probably agree, was Gutho and his 2 short dropouts. From me and the ex-players watching here, Troy Campbell and Chrissy Lawler, you might be able to tell me better, but as a fan, I wouldn't have thought that you would have went for short dropouts in a grand final. I would have thought you would have kicked as far as you could just for that field position, because there's no guarantee that you can get that ball back. We saw, I think, after the first one, I thought, the Panthers scored a try on the next set, and then we saw on the second one, obviously the ball went out and the Panthers got a penalty and it was 2 points. And the third one we came up with the ball. So, but I would have thought that in a grand final you just kick it as far as you can and get that ball all the way down the other field, down the other end of the field as far as you can, away from your try line in that. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, and probably you guys were as well. There was no pressure on their kickers where Panthers pressured Mitch from Cheryl. Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a little bit better than our first game, the qualifying final, but it still wasn't as good as what it needed to be. I thought the pressure on Nathan Cleary definitely needed to be more on that fifth tackle. We saw Jerome Lawler kick the ball a few times as well, but without pressure as well. I thought Mitch Moses' kicking game was probably off as well. I thought it just seemed that the ball went to their fullback Dylan Edwards and maybe Brian Toto as well on the full all the time. So I thought maybe there might have been a kick along the ground or something like that could have tried as well, instead of landing it straight under their gob. So that's my thoughts on the grand final. I thought that obviously the Panthers deserved the win. They're a champion team. Can't take anything away from that. Congratulations to the Eels on making the grand final. Congratulations to Gutho and Jacob Arthur scoring tries in the grand final. It was great to see Jacob get a try in the second half there, the last try of the game. Great to see him get a try there. But yeah, it just wasn't to be. Rhonda Davis, there were a few questionable decisions from our boys, but just not our night. The boys, just a big disappointment. Yeah, that's what I was saying before, Rhonda. It was a big disappointment. Probably not as upset as what I thought I would have been if we did lose the game. But yeah, just a more of a disappointment. And a really flat feeling after the game as well for myself, and no doubt for you, the Eels fans as well. So anyway, the boys will hopefully learn from that, mistakes from that game. They'll learn from the grand final, and hopefully that burns them, and it will give them motivation, obviously, to go one better and get that premiership. We saw the semi-final last year against the Panthers, 8-6. That burnt them a lot, the Eels players, especially Junior Paolo, and it drove them to that success of getting a victory against the Panthers, which we saw earlier on in the season as well, and it drove them for most of the season. So a great achievement. Battle of the West, grand final. Who knows? It might happen next year. But just great to see Parramatta in the grand final, and we'll go one better next year for sure. All right, going to move forward now. Going to talk about wins and losses for the Eels in season 2022. We'll start off with the hard things, the loss. So, what was your most disappointing loss of the season? That's right, Cheryl. But actually, before I go on as well, congratulations to the ladies, women's NRLW side as well for making the grand final. They were in it there for a long time. A disallowed try to Gail Broughton probably turned the game. I saw, coincidentally, Casey Badger at my workplace the other day, and she seems to think that if she doesn't push the Newcastle player, she scores anyway. So, a bit of a turning point in the game, but definitely a massive congratulations on making the grand final. Huge effort, and something to build on again for next year, and a massive thing for the club, for the men's and the women's teams making the grand final. Okay, so disappointing. What was your most disappointing loss of season 2022? There were a few. Take out the grand final, obviously, because obviously that's a pretty disappointing loss. But taking that grand final game out, there was a few games that we lost and we were expected to win. Chris Buttigieg, disappointing loss was the Tigers game on Easter Monday, definitely, by a Jackson Hastings field goal. That was disappointing, especially that it was at home. I've gone for the game against the Bulldogs at Accor Stadium. I think we got flogged that day, and one thing that stood out for me that day was the Mitchell Moses no try, where he got the ball. Chris. Chris Lawler. That game against the Bulldogs. Mitch Moses got the ball raked out over the try line before he had the chance to put it down, and I just thought, well, that just typifies the day that Parramatta's having that day. The Bulldogs, they sort of went on a bit of a winning streak, and their confidence was up from that day because they performed pretty reasonably well for the rest of the season. So they got confidence from that game, being Parramatta, their arch rivals. So they went on well there. But so probably the Tigers and the Bulldogs definitely are the most disappointing losses. We'll move on to favourite Eels win. Now, I've got a few written down here. There were some sensational wins throughout the year, both at home and away. What are some of your favourite Eels wins of the year? I've got a few written down here. Let's see if they're the same as what I have. Give people a bit of an opportunity to comment on their favourite Eels win of the year. which one gave you the most joy of winning the game? Or winning the game. So the couple that I've got written down here, Cheryl Burke, any win against the Roosters is a fantastic win. Obviously, yeah, definitely, 100%. Obviously, we've got that at Combank Stadium. That Roosters, they a bit of a bogey side for Parramatta, so always to get a win against them is great. Rhonda Davis against the Broncos. Yeah, that was a great night up there at Suncorp, wasn't it? Against the Broncos. They got us at Combank Stadium. I forgot to mention that disappointing loss at Combank against the Broncos. So, yeah, definitely it was a good to get the win against the Broncos up there at Suncorp. Rachel Stewart, the both against Penrith. Tori Preslin, how you going, Tori? Mason said Eels v Panthers, round 20. Yeah, well, that was a great win, wasn't it? That was the infamous Nathan Cleary send-off game. But I think we had the ascendancy at that time when he got sent off against the Eels for that dangerous tackle on Dylan Brown. Who else we got up here? Chris Buttigieg again. Beating Penrith at Penrith was the best, especially breaking their home winning streak. Chrissy Lawler. Cowboys in semi needed to take that step as a team. Yeah, definitely. For probably sheer excitement for myself, that win against the Cowboys in the prelim final was definitely rates right up there as a great win. And as you said, need to take that next step. We broke that week 2 hoodoo of finals over the last couple of years to get into the prelim final. So, that week 3 win against the Cowboys up there in Townsville would have been awesome to be there. A few friends have been there, were there for that game, but to get in the grand final for sheer excitement. But that prelim final win, and also for me, sheer excitement as well was the round 3 game. I think it was against Melbourne down in Melbourne, with that Ray Stone Golden Point winning try. How good was that? Mitch Moses goes for the field goal, hits the post, and jolly on the spot is Ray Stone. Unfortunately, he did his knee in that game and didn't play the rest of the year. So, pretty disappointing season, obviously, for Ray, but he's got a everlasting memory of his time at Parramatta, scoring that try against Melbourne. The round 9 game against Penrith at Bluebet, my favourite home, or I call it my home game for the season. Definitely to end their winning streak. I think it was 19 games or 20 games in a row or something like that. So to beat them there at near full strength as well, it was a great night, that one. My local game, so I love beating the Panthers at Penrith. Hello, Jacob. Great to meet you at the platform at Para Station last Sunday. Yes, mate, Para's on fire. Unfortunately, we didn't get to sing that at 9:30, quarter to 10 on, or 10 o'clock, whatever it is, on Sunday night, unfortunately. But, yeah, good times. Good times. Great to meet you too, and your mates as well, and sing the song. The other win that stands out as well was around, I think it was 25, the last game of the season at Combank Stadium versus Melbourne. And that game, we needed to win that game to get into the top 4. So to win that and secure that top 4 spot was great to win that game as well. So have we got any other suggestions out there on the live feed of any favourite Eels wins throughout the season? Whilst you think of that, we'll move on to favourite Eels try of the year. Have a think about that one as well. Have we got a favourite Eels try of the year? There was certainly some crackers out there. I've got 3 that stand out for me. The one from Mitch Moses, I think it was against the Dragons at Combank Stadium after Cardi's flick pass. How good is that? Hi, Judy Marsden. Hello, how you going? After Bryce Cartwright's flick pass, I think it might have been the last try of the game, I think. And Mitch scores in the corner. That was a cracker. Chris Evans, a few tries against the Roosters. Yeah, they were pretty good. The other try that I really enjoyed was in that round 3 game against Melbourne, down in Melbourne, the Dylan Brown try. It sort of really started off fantastic start of the season for Dylan, and his try against Melbourne there was fantastic. Rogan Josh, Ray Stones in Melbourne, that was fantastic. That try, that was ranks right up there with the sheer excitement of scoring a try and winning a game. So one that Ray Stone will never ever forget. Cindy Fafita, Regan Campbell Gillard. Well, funny you mention RCG. I've actually got him as one of my other favourite tries throughout the year. And I think it was the crash try in the prelim final, the crash over try, where he stood up and awarded himself the try. How good was that to see? Cheryl, I think that's the try that I'm talking about. I think where he the crash try over, he awards himself the try. Just looks at was it Grant Atkins, I think, and just says award the try. I scored it. I got it down. Those 3 tries stand out for me. Any other tries from any of you viewers of this video that stand out for you? Hi, Michael Worthington. How you going, mate? So those 3, obviously any try scored by Mike Acevo is pretty good. He scored some crackers in the corner. And it was great to see Micah come back after a serious knee injury to play part in the season from about halfway throughout the season. So it was great to see. Favourite players throughout the season? Well, there's probably 3 that stand out for me that created a lot of highlights and were pretty crucial to Parramatta's success. Obviously, you've got the Ken Thornett medal winner, which is Sean Lane. So congratulations to Sean on winning that one. Dean Page, great stuff this year, Troy. Yeah, it was a great year, one that will stay in the memory banks for a long time. It was great to see Parramatta competitive and in the grand final. Sean Lane, Ken Thornett medal winner. Congratulations to Sean on winning that award. He had a breakout year. He's been around for a while, Sean, at a few different clubs. I think Canterbury, Manly, and also I think he did some time at New Zealand Warriors as well. But he's sort of solidated himself at the Parramatta Eels on that left edge with Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown, another one who stood out for me as well. He really had a great season this year. He probably would have been close to winning the Ken Thornett medal, no doubt. Topped off by representing New Zealand for the first time mid-year and is also over in the World Cup as well. What have we got here? Rogan Josh says Lane, Moses and Gillard. Cheryl Burke, RCG and Mitch. Chrissy Lawler, Penasini and Bailey Simonson back from injury can play. Tori Preston, Mason said Lane, Moses and Dylan Brown. Well, great minds think alike, because that's who the three that I've got written down. Will Penasini, another full season, or a full season under his belt. Pretty solid in defence. Obviously, also made his Test debut for Tonga, and will playing for them in the World Cup. So it was great to see Will get a full season under his belt. And Bailey Simonson, back from injury, can play. Yes, I think he may solidify his spot in the centres, I think, Bailey, for season 2023, and leave maybe Wonga Blake out on the wing. I think Bailey will be in the centres, I think, now. So, so all those three did pretty well for me, and some other good suggestions there. So all in all, before we move on, just a huge a huge thank you to our players, our 7 players that are leaving the club as of October 30. We could practically say now, but so thank you for their service in the blue and gold to Isaiah Papali'i, Hayes Perham, Reed Marnie, Ray Stone, Oregon Kafusi, Tom Opacek, and Murata Niokore. Some quality players there. We'd like to thank them for their service in the blue and gold and wish them all the best at their new clubs. It's a shame to see them go. Unfortunately, you can't keep everyone in this day and age. It would have been great to keep a couple of them there, probably most notably Isaiah and Reed. But even Tommy Opacek, before he got injured, he was going really well in the centres there. And Murata, he was going great off the bench there, and started the season on. He started at the end of the season. He started the game, so Chris Lawler will miss Marnie big time. Don't know how that happened. Yeah, look, it's a mystery to me and many other Eels fans. What happened there? Probably, I don't know whether it was a money thing. A lot of people say it was 50, maybe 100k more that the Bulldogs offered. Why couldn't we come up with that money? Who knows? Who knows what happened there? Maybe it was a fancy Chinese meal at the Bulldogs League Club with Gus. Who knows? But we're going to miss him, that's for sure. We've got Joshy Hodgson coming in next year from Canberra, coming off a serious knee injury as well. He's had a couple of those the last few seasons, so it'd be interesting to see how he goes. Aaron Cowell, hi mate, how you going? So it'd be interesting to see how he goes next year at Parramatta, playing in that spine. Kai Rodwell, great addition. Yeah, he had a few games in 2021 and also this season as well. Hopefully see a little bit more of him next year in 2023. Good young prospect there, so hopefully we'll see him get a run. Speaking of the future, some news today as we record this video and this podcast. Some re-signings, which is great news for the club. We have Sean Lane extending to 2026. Sean Russell, 2024, Jacob Arthur, 2024, and also we've signed from the New Zealand Warriors, Jack Murchie as well. So a few good signings there. Chris Lawler, in regards to money, managing the cap so not too many players off contract at one time would be an idea. Absolutely, it would be. I think, unfortunately, we see at the moment, we see Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses coming off contract at the same time. So, very difficult to do a salary cap when you've got players coming off contract at the same time. So, maybe one thing could be maybe you sign Dylan to a 4-year contract, maybe Mitch to a 3-year contract, and that's only my opinion, and that's probably based on that Dylan's the younger player, Mitchell's the older player, but it also splits up that time as to when they're on contract and off contract, so maybe that's a good thing. So what do we think of the signings that were announced today? Good to see Sean Lane secure a home for a while now. Sean Russell, who unfortunately we didn't see a lot of this year due to his rib injury in the first round, I think it was. Yeah, definitely, Chris, stagger the end dates if possible. Jacob Arthur's re-signed, and Jack Murchie, I think that's a great buy from the New Zealand Warriors. We saw a couple of years ago Isaiah Papali'i come from the New Zealand Warriors. Wasn't getting a lot of first grade, and we've managed to turn him around into a international player for New Zealand. So from what I've heard of Jack, he's a solid first grader. Can play that back row role. So yeah, who knows what he'll do next year? Another one from the Warriors as well. Hopefully, could be the same as Isaiah. Jermaine Hopgood as well, Chris Buttigieg. Thanks for the reminder. New South Wales Cup Player of the Year, Player of the Match in the State Championship as well. Can play a few positions in the forward pack, in the halves if need be. He's a great addition. Looking forward to seeing how he goes. Chris Lawler-Lane is a great re-signing. Yeah, as I said before, a bit of a breakout year this year. Found some form on that left-hand edge, and I, and probably you guys agree as well, very, very unlucky not to be on that plane to England for the World Cup. I thought he should have probably been there. Probably Sunday night's defeat in the grand final probably maybe played a part, but I mean that back half of the season he certainly was on fire, wasn't he, Sean Lane? So I thought he should have been there, but it wasn't to be for Sean. But if he keeps on that form next year, who knows? Maybe an Origin spot. Maybe an Australian berth as well. Cheryl Burke, great to see Kalis back. Yes, he's back at Parramatta as of 2023. Not in a playing capacity, unfortunately, but New South Wales Cup. Thanks for tuning in, Aaron. See you soon. As New South Wales Cup head coach, so great to see Nathan Kalis back. He's back home at Parramatta, where it all started for him. Great to see Kalo back. Trent Barrett is our one of our assistant coaches for next season, so it'll be interesting to see what he can bring to the table. Some say that he did a lot for the Panthers in those early days as an assistant. Unfortunately, couldn't do as well as a head coach for Manly, and the Bulldogs seemed to struggle a little bit there. So, but in those early days for the Panthers, obviously was going all right, and look at what they're doing now. So, yes, he will be our assistant coach next year. So, some good times to look forward to for next year. Anything else? Anybody else want to throw up at me? Any questions for me that I might be able to answer? I may or may not, but Dean James, what will Jake Arthur's long-term role be for Parramatta? Well, yeah, good question. Obviously, he's there as a halves backup for Mitch or Dylan if they go down. He's probably... we have to still remember that he's still 19 years old, so he's still filling out. Rogan Josh, why not try Jacob at dummy half more next year? That could be a possibility as well. He did play a little bit of that this season as well, off the bench, replacing Reid Marnie. But yeah, he's still only 19, so he's still developing as a kid. So he may even get bigger. So who knows? You may even see him slowly creep into maybe a lock position, a ball playing lock or something like that. We'll just have to wait and see. A lot of people forget that he's only 19, so still a growing boy, but great to see him score a try in the grand final. Chris Lawler, Trent will be great for our halves. Yeah, definitely. He made his name in the game as a 5'8". Yeah, more as a 5'8", a little bit of halfback. So, yeah, it'll be great to see Trent there and pass on his knowledge to the Parramatta halves as well. He's obviously watched a lot of football over the last few years being a head coach, so he'll know some ins and outs of his teams that he coached as well. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But great to have him on board at the Eels for next season. Anything else you guys want to throw up at me whilst I'm here? I've really enjoyed doing this sort of podcast chat / video. Matt McCullough, hey mate, still hurting. Can you see Blake holding his spot next year, or do you think he'll move on? Is that Wonga Blake? I think he'll start off holding his spot for the year, next year. And then probably can be a make or break year for Wonga Blake. I think I could be wrong though. It could be the last year. This year, I think maybe the last year that the Panthers were chipping in for him. So his value will dramatically drop. But yeah, it could be a make or break year for Wonga Blake. He had some good good patches throughout the year. Scored that great try against Manly, but it seemed like at the end of the year it wasn't quite to be. Chrissy Lawler, I got stuck watching the GF in the hardcore Panthers section. They sing "We Hate Para" all night. Well, haven't we heard that over the last few days? Yeah, I can only imagine being a Para fan stuck in the Panthers section at a grand final. That must have been really tough. Imagine being a Para fan living in Penrith now, like myself. I haven't walked around the streets of Penrith yet in Parramatta gear, but I'm sure it will happen. I've got a few friendly vibes from a few work colleagues wearing their back-to-back Premier's shirts today, but that's okay. Wiramu Greg is a tough young fella. Be good to see him get more of a run next season. Dean James, yeah, no, I think It would be good. We saw a little bit of glimpses. Yeah, I think he played in that Indigenous All-Stars game right at the start of the year. Played pretty solidly in the New South Wales Cup. But yeah, it would be great to see Wiremu get another run in first grade. Rogan Josh, we are not far off winning a grand final. Just need that X factor. All right, well, you've thrown it up, Rogan. Who is the X factor player that you would like to see at Parramatta? I'll let you think about that one. We'll come back to it. Prue Keegan, hopefully next year we can beat South at least one game. Your partner is a huge South fan and always reminds you they have not won a game since 2019. They're certainly one of our bogey sides, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, so it'd be great to see us get a win against them for sure, be it a regular season game or even a finals game. What have we got? Tori Preslin, we got stuck with that and so much abuse round one finals and the Panthers fans. That wasn't too nice. Was it that round one game? Gonna see if I can bring on Matty Tate here from the Talking Para podcast and also Tate Sports Cards. Let's see if we can bring him on and see what his thoughts and views are on season 2022. What else we got here? Chris Lawler, can I ask something controversial? Why not? Let's have a chat about it. What do we think about our bench rotation in general? Look, it's a very interesting point that you raise there, Chris. It certainly was an interesting talking point all season. What players do we put on the bench? How do we use them on the bench? Or off the bench, on the bench, the players on the bench, how do we get them off the bench into the game? I noticed, and probably you guys did too, that whenever RCG and Junior are off the field at the same time, we seem to struggle a little bit. So once one of them went back on the field, it looked a little bit better. But when both of them were off the field, I thought that our go forward wasn't there as much as what it was when they were there. So that's an interesting point there. The times there where we only used 3 players off the bench was a very interesting one. I think, and by all means, I'm no super coach, but I would think that in this day and age, if you've got 4 players on the bench, you need to use 4 players on the bench in a game of rugby league. Chris Buttigieg, you actually just make a good point there. Brendan Hands, former Panther, now Parramatta Eel. Will you think he'll get a crack at 9 next year? Promising young talent. Well, potentially he could. He may fix that. He might be that bench player, number 14, who might get that use that bench rotation a little bit better. Maybe can also play in the halves as well. So it's probably Hands 14, Jacob 14. But it would be good to see Brendan get a bit of a run next year as well. Dean James, X Factor, Cameron Murray. Okay. He definitely is an X Factor player. I don't think he'll ever leave South Sydney though. Rogan Josh, I would like a gun centre who was on the market, but we need one. Gun centre, I don't know who a gun centre on the market is at the moment, but and I don't know who is available to sign at the moment. It is very limited. Someone mentioned the other day maybe Herbie Farnworth from the Broncos. He would be good to get, although I think he may have re-signed with the Broncos. Matty Tate from Tate Sports Cards, I should say, and the Talking Para podcast. Hands at 14. What else? Matty Tate as well. Hopgood, the X Factor. Yeah, well, it's going to be really interesting to see how Jermaine goes next season. Huge raps on him, as I was saying before. New South Wales Cup Player of the Year, and also the Player of the Match in the State Championship as well. So, Penrith, I think, were, disappointed they had to let him go. Obviously, got that better offer at Parramatta. But you look at the Penrith team and look who he's stuck behind. So, yeah, it's he's looking obviously for a opportunity. So let's see what he can provide next year at Parramatta. Alright, well, I think that just about wrapped things up from this live video. I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of way of doing it. Maybe next season may do it again as well. Would like to wish all our players that are competing in the World Cup, in both the men's and the women's World Cups, all the best for their respective nations. All the best. It's going to be an interesting World Cup, I think. Australia in the men's are definitely not favourites. I think New Zealand are going to be strong. I think actually Samoa might be a little bit of a smoky maybe. And Cheryl Burke, yes, go Kennedy Cherrington and Samaima Taufa in the Australian Gillaroos. Matty Tate, return of Eels Army TV next season. Could be a thing that we might be able to bring back, that's for sure. So for any of you guys and girls listening to this podcast, we're doing this video through the Paras Eels Army Facebook page. So if you want to join Paras, if you're a Parramatta supporter, join Paras Eels Army on Facebook, and we might do a few more of these videos like this. Marlon Webber, just on the World Cup, have you seen the way they're numbering the players' jerseys? Bit confusing. Absolutely, it's confusing. Mate, I've got no idea. Something to do about how long they've been with the team or something like that. The Australian team, I don't know. Yeah, mate, I don't know what's going on until they run out, I think, on October 15. So, mate, hopefully the commentators have a bit more of an idea than you and me, and they'll be able to tell us what's going on. Rogan Josh, all the best, Troy. See you in 2023. Go Para. Absolutely go Para. George Hurst, do you think we'll be top 4 next year again? Yeah, well, starting out the season, that's going to be the goal, isn't it? To be top 4. Matty Tate, RCG 5'8", let's go. Yeah, well, he did say he's going to throw the ball about, maybe a few kicks. We'll just have to wait and see what he does over there in England. But yeah, getting back to season 2023, look, it's going to be obviously their goal to make the top 4, which is probably every team's goal, is to make that top 4, to get that second bite at the cherry in finals time. But the standard has been reached now that they've made the grand final. They obviously want to get back to the grand final and have that opportunity to win it. Chrissy Laurel, catch up at a game in 2023 perhaps. Absolutely, champion. We will catch up at a game for sure. And we may also set up a podcast chat for the fans. I'm sure they'd love to hear your rugby league story for sure, champion. It's going to be hard to get the top four. We only just scraped in this season. So, definitely the top 8. But, it's going to be hard to get into that top 4. Tori Preslin, I think we should do more para fan pre-game meetups next year. Absolutely. We will be trying to organise a lot of them at away games. Certainly the one that we did for the qualifying final at the Paceway went pretty well. We had some pretty good numbers there, so hopefully we can organise another one there for the Penrith game next year. The club do organise a few pre-game meetups, obviously interstate and sometimes at away games. But no doubt as a Eels fan group we can organise something, that's for sure. So stay tuned. But great idea. If anybody has any ideas or would like to help out, then go through the Paras Eels Army Facebook page and we'll see what we can do. Cindy Fafita, thank you for all you do for Para and fans. Well, it's my pleasure. Love doing it. Love what I do. It's just natural, I guess. Love it. So, I'm probably not the biggest expert on things, but going back to Cheryl Burke there, have I heard of any juniors which could be coming up? Look, I've heard some names, can't quite remember them, but if you want to get some detailed information about juniors and the like, head over to the Cumberland Throw podcast. They've got a lot more information about that sort of stuff as well than myself. But yeah, I just love what I do. I do it for passion. I do it for you guys. I love Parramatta and love trying to do as much as I can, as much entertainment for you guys as possible. So, do it all again in season 2023. All right, well, I think we'll wrap things up there. Emma Jane Thompson, I'll get onto that with the club. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you very much for joining the live video / podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you want to listen back to it as well, me ramble on a bit and with your involvement, it'll be out on Apple and Spotify either tonight or tomorrow sometime. So maybe tomorrow afternoon, maybe just a bit of footy content whilst more footy in between the World Cup anyway. If you like this sort of stuff, we'll do it again next year. Marlon, no worries, mate. Thank you. Love your work as well, and your daughter Nicola as well. That's been great. You guys are so passionate, especially about the women's game. Maybe next year, Marlon, you and Nicola could be the NRLW correspondents, because you guys are so passionate about that women's game. You get to a lot of games as well, a lot more than myself. But so maybe we can set up that. Not a problem, Tori. Love, as I said before, love what I do. Hopefully I can do more of it next year. Would really love to do more of it and get you guys involved as well. Yeah, a bit of a break now, as I said, with the World Cup coming up. But who knows, we may chat before then, we may chat in the pre-season, see what happens next year. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast as well. If you didn't tune in to the video on Paras Eels Army Facebook page. So, yeah, thank you once again. Thank you for all your support and messages. I really appreciate it. And enjoy the off-season. Enjoy the World Cup. I think someone said to me the other day it's only about 155 days or 153 or something like that to go until round one next season. So after the Christmas, New Year's, it'll fly by. The trials will be in, and then we'll be back for another season of NRL football. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And to sign off the podcast, anyway, as I always say, the Para Cave podcast by the fan, for the fans. Go Para! Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to the season 2022 review. Just a few little points from fans, not experts, and the grand final of 2022, obviously with Parramatta in it. I hope you really enjoyed that format. It was something, a little bit of fun. It was great to get the fans involved in it and have their thoughts on the game and the season as well. So I really appreciate those guys jumping on the Paras Eels Army Facebook live video and contributing with their comments. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. And as I said in the opener, if it's something that you guys like, we might look at doing it again next season as well. Just a few thanks for the recent weeks. I'd just like to thank Shane Flanagan for his thoughts during the weeks. His quick little thoughts about each game each week. I really appreciate your time and your chats. I really appreciate the Parramatta Eels as well for giving me some media appearances as well during the week. It's been a busy couple of weeks, finals weeks. So thank you for those who organised those media appearances. Really appreciate that. And just appreciate Channel 7, 9 and 10 as well for their wanting to report the Para Cave and the game, the grand final as well. It's been a whirlwind couple of weeks, especially grand final week as well. There was an experience that I'll never forget as well on the Friday, a press conference at Accor Stadium. So thank you for organising that, much appreciated. So it's been a whirlwind week. So that's done and dusted now, but memories forever. But the best part about that, probably grand final week and grand final day, was actually sharing it with the Blue and Gold Army. So it was great to see the Blue and Gold colours out there on Sunday and during the week as well, but especially on Sunday, and catching up with a number of you guys either at Parramatta Leagues Club or on the train going to the game or at the actual game. So it was great to catch up with you guys, have a chat, say good day, and unfortunately it wasn't the result that we wanted, but nevertheless it was great to catch up, and thank you for your support as well for during that time. It was, as I said, a very busy time as well. So thank you very much. A month that I'll never forget. So hopefully we can do it all again next year. Just a quick shout out as well. Don't forget to get your Jack's Pale Ale, which is available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Thanks also to co-sponsor Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, who you can hear from at the top of this podcast, and the Stubby Club as well, www.thestubbyclub.com.au. Order your NRL merchandise, or they also have other sports as well, which is available. So just head to that website, check out what they have, and don't forget to use the Para Cave discount and get 10% off. Also, Bo Cook as well from Loan Market. His contact number once again is 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. Thank you again to the listeners for listening to this podcast. As I said before, I hope you really enjoyed it, and something we might also do again next season as well. And just to wrap things up, thanks again to the official media partner of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. Well, stay safe wherever you are listening from in this world of ours. Have a great week as best you can, and I'll catch you next week. And as I said, we'll be going back to the interview style podcast with I've got a couple of cracky chats coming up. I've got Lee Odenryan and David Penner coming up, that's for sure, and there'll be some few more. So there'll be some few more weeks of the podcast coming up whilst the footy's off before Christmas. So stay tuned, have a listen, and enjoy it. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!